Thunderbolts, the MCU's Multiverse Saga has 13 movies, and today I'm going to rank those movies. Now, a lot of people have been discussing what has been the best MCU movie since Endgame, and these are all the movies since Endgame except Far From Home. I figured it'd be kind of weird to put Far From Home in here. Feel like it'd be better to rank the Multiverse Saga, even though we're already getting Fantastic Four later this year. So personally, at least for me, I feel like it would be better if I just ranked the Multiverse Saga. That's just my opinions. We're not including the TV shows. We're just doing the 13 films that were in this franchise. Before I dive in and share my ranking, please tell me yours down below in the comment section. While you're down there, please make sure to subscribe and hit the like button and hit the bell so you never miss another Marvel video. Huge news coming to the channel very soon, ladies and gentlemen. This weekend, we're going to have a big announcement. Something very cool. And even though we only have 80-something subscribers on this channel, it's going to be pretty big. Pretty big announcement, at least in my opinion, and I hope that all of you will be there to support it. And with that said, easily in last place, number 13, I'm going Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This was a movie as soon as I left the theater off my first viewing. It was like, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit of superhero fatigue, but it wasn't terrible. Like, there's enough to like here. The middle act where we're having the heist stuff and Ant-Man is doing the heist, it's good. I think it's probably more entertaining than what they did in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second film in this franchise. So for me, I was like, that's not terrible. That's fine. It's decent. And then we enter the third act and get a generic superhero battle. But the more I think about this movie, what they did in that third act is an abomination to Marvel. MODOK, who's supposed to be one of the coolest characters in Marvel, they turned him into a crazy, stupid villain from the first movie that just doesn't fit within this movie whatsoever. You also have him changing his mind from being the bad MODOK to becoming an Avenger because Hope Van Dyne, no, not Hope, Cassie Lang, his daughter, says, hey, you actually don't have to be a dick. Like, being a dick is not part of the problem, dude. Like, don't do that and you're chill. And the guy's like, bet, I won't be a dick and I'm an Avenger now. So that's the kind of writing we're dealing with. Mind you, this is the guy that was going to kill Cassie Lang in the first Ant-Man movie to get to her dad and was selling weapons to Hydra. Yeah, that guy, he's an Avenger now, apparently. Oh my god, this script is terrible. And then at the end of the movie, it ruins the Kang saga because the movie decides to have Ant-Man and a bunch of giant ants beat him. Yeah, that's what happens, guys, is that, Kang, the guy who's going to be the big bad, destroyer of multiverses, and this is one of the worst variants, gets beat by getting eaten by a bunch of ants. The more I think about that, the more it infuriates me to my very core. The fact that we could have had Kang, who, just like MODOK, is one of the coolest people in the Marvel Universe. And he's defeated by a bunch of ants. Jonathan Majors, fantastic in the movie. I don't know what the hell he's doing with his life, but he's good in the movie. That's for sure. But this film, not it. I mean, the third act was just so unbelievably terrible. The first act was boring. I think the second act is better than anything what we're going to talk about in my number 12. But still, I mean, that third act makes me despise this movie to my core. Number 12 is Thor: Love and Thunder, and this is the only MCU movie I think that just doesn't have any redeeming qualities. It doesn't piss me off as much as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania pisses me off. Like, I'm not unbelievably heated at that movie like I am with Quantumania. It's a bad movie. It's an awful movie. You got Thor joking in the most serious moments. Lady Sif, one of the main characters from that original Thor trilogy, dies or is critically injured, going to die, and she's like, at least I'll get to go to Valhalla, and he literally goes, you gotta die in battle to get to Valhalla? Like, that's the kind of humor we're dealing with, where a serious moment's happening and Thor just cracks a joke. And it doesn't fit with a Thor character, considering he's been through probably the most pain in the MCU. I mean, his dad, his mom, his brother, they're all dead. Hell, most of his friends are dead. His entire world is destroyed. I mean, he's dealing with some of the most pain, and he's just sitting there cracking joke after joke after joke after joke. This is the thing that I love when Marvel gives directors creative freedom. Look at Thunderbolts, for example. That movie definitely has some creative freedom, and that's why that movie is so good. This movie, you give creative freedom to people like Taika Waititi, and he just makes it entirely a comedy. That's really not all that funny. Gore the God Butcher, which should have been a really compelling villain, just is generic and honestly, to me, really boring. I didn't like him whatsoever. I did like the final 5 minutes. I do think having Thor with the daughter is kind of a cute way to end things, but the final battle just didn't matter. I watched this movie in theaters once in 2022. I haven't seen it since. Do I ever plan on revisiting it? Probably no, because I just kind of was so bored, so uninterested. This is the one MCU movie that does that to me. Number 11, The Marvels. Now, this is the part where I think Thor Love and Thunder is probably an F movie. I'd give Quantumania even lower if I possibly could. The Marvels is a good movie. Well, I wouldn't say good movie. It's a generic movie. Yes, is it generic? Yeah, absolutely. Iman Vellani, amazing as Miss Marvel. Easily the best part of this movie. She just has such a cheerful attitude and is always so nice to be around, which my least favorite project in Marvel, which is Miss Marvel, the show, she's obviously the best in that. It's nice to see her in a halfway decent movie. On the other hand, Captain Marvel herself is not compelling, and I really didn't like her at all. But we did get Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel, and it was always a delight. I don't hate the villain as much as a lot of other people do. I found that the fact that she's trying to avenge her homeworld was kind of a compelling story because, like, she's avenging her homeworld, trying to save her people. So that's honestly a little bit compelling. Not like the best villain in the MCU, but, like, I didn't hate her like a lot of other people did. Some solid action sequences. There's a solid fun to be had here. Saw it twice in a theater. I went with a friend, and then I went by myself because I kind of felt like I needed to watch it again. And I had a decent, solid enough time each time. It's not a necessarily good movie. It's not like top tier MCU, but it's decent. I didn't like the third act, like, at all. I thought the third act was purely terrible because, like, it's just another CGI battle. And then what they do with the Plasma character, with Monica, not good at all. And then, like, the post-credit scene, I was even, like it was kind of hard to even get excited to see Kelsey Graham just because I didn't really know what was going on. And the fact that they gave Miss Marvel's family the house of Monica, who literally died, like, 5 minutes ago, not necessarily the best decision to go for your movie, but still, I didn't hate it as much as a lot of other people did. I had a decent enough time with the movie. Number 10, Captain America, Brave New World. Now, this is another pretty generic MCU movie. If you like The Incredible Hulk, which I don't know many people that do, considering I think The Incredible Hulk is one of the most generic MCU movies, and most people would seem to agree with me, you're probably going to have a good time with this one. It follows up on plot lines. You get the leader for the first time inside the MCU, and it's kind of cool to see there. You're following up several plot lines that were announced in The Incredible Hulk, which was the literal second movie in the MCU. So following it up all these layers, kind of closing out the plot lines, made this universe feel more. Made this universe feel like it's a universe again, instead of just a bunch of scattered movies trying to make it into something cohesive. It actually feels kind of cohesive for the universe. Sam Wilson, I hate how everyone hates on him as Captain America. I think he's a pretty good Captain America. Falcon in this movie, I do kind of think is a little annoying, but not too bad. Red Hulk, Harrison Ford, I do wish that they kept the original actor, but unfortunately, because of his passing, rest in peace, they couldn't keep the original actor. So, but Harrison Ford, if you're going to recast anyone, Harrison Ford is a great choice. And it's kind of cool to see that. And I was kind of satisfied by the Red Hulk fight scene. I did like the Red Hulk fight scene. It was easily the best part of the movie. This movie did feel like it belonged as a Disney Plus original. Honestly, same with the Marvels. I feel like if it was released on Disney Plus, you watched the movie on Disney Plus, it'd be better. But instead, I went to the movies to see it, to see what was kind of like a generic superhero movie. So they're not bad. They're not like movies that piss me off to talk about. They're not good either. Like, they're just generic. They're fine. They're entertaining enough to watch for the time being. They're movies that I'll probably, like, never check out again. Like, I might watch Brave New World, like, one more time in my lifetime. But there are people that are, like, on Twitter hating on the movie and then loving the movie. That's not me. Like, it's fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's generic. Number 9, Black Widow. Now, this is a movie for every positive. There does come a negative where... Positive, we get two of the best characters in the MCU. Red Guardian, Yelena. Negative, Red Guardian, unbelievably unlikable in the movie. Positive, there are some amazing, beautiful shots here. The action sequences are different. The movie as a whole has a completely different vibe than the rest of the MCU. Negative, there's some pretty terrible CGI here. Taskmaster, pretty cool at the beginning of the movie. What they do with the character in the third act is abysmal. So for every positive, there does come a negative. I rewatched this movie for the first time since 2021 a couple of weeks ago, and I had a good time with it. I had a really good time with it. I liked a lot of the things they did. The action sequences were good, and it felt like a more interesting movie than other Marvel movies. But like I said, with that comes negative. It's very frustrating to watch because it's a movie that I want to rate so much higher. The first two acts, I think, are really good of the movie, are a really good movie. They have a completely different vibe, and once you get used to that, it is a really good movie. But then you get like that third act, and while there are some positives there, it does kind of go into generic territory, and what they do with Taskmaster character is awful. Purely abysmal, terrible stuff. So I do like this movie. Yeah. I did have a lot of fun watching it. It's just a movie that's frustrating because for every positive, there has to come a negative. Number 8, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, this was a movie that I saw one time, and I've been wanting to watch it, just like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That was a movie I saw one time, and like I watched it for the first time a couple days ago. We'll talk about that later on in the video, but this was a movie that, for the most part of the movie, I had a really good time with it. Because, like, well, not really a really good time with it, but for the movie itself, it is very emotional, handles the death of T'Challa very well. You also do have the entertaining stuff. You introduce Ironheart, who I think is a pretty cool character. Apparently, we're getting the trailer tomorrow, or probably because I'm uploading this tomorrow, we probably already got it by the time it's uploaded. But I do plan on uploading a reaction to that in the Superman trailer. Pause. Anyways, you get her, you get the detective characters that you got in that first movie. You got plenty of cool stuff. Namor is a pretty cool villain. Shuri becoming Black Panther is awesome stuff. But this movie, like the themes and what it explores, makes it for a movie that I'm not really all that into. I'm not really into war movies that much, and this is a movie that definitely focuses on the war aspect of Wakanda, and without having really a central hero besides Shuri, who I don't really think counts, because yes, she is Black Panther, but the movie's more focusing on trying to get the MCU past the tragic Chadwick Boseman passing. So, you're focused more on the war, trying to figure that out. You kill the queen. It's all very emotional. It's all very cool, but it's not entertaining. There is entertaining parts more towards the beginning of the movie, but I think in the back half of the movie, it decides to play those emotions that are very good emotions. I did cry watching this movie, but it's never something I was entertained by. So this was always one that, like, I constantly tell myself, I might rewatch that today. And then I never do. I never rewatched Wakanda Forever. So, like, maybe if I rewatch it, it'd be much higher. But that first viewing, kind of, on the story level, getting the point across, it was great. What they did with the tragic Chadwick Boseman passing is perfect. But as a movie, it's not all that entertaining, at least in my opinion. Number 7, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. When I first saw this one in the theater with a bunch of friends, this is one of my friends' favorite Marvel movies. I mean, they were all loving the movie. This movie does have some crazy twists. The fact that the Mandarin from Iron Man 3, one of my personal favorite MCU movies, was in this movie. Really awesome. There's some pretty cool kung fu fights. Like, pretty cool. I mean, some awesome kung fu fights. Seeing Shang-Chi beat the crap out of some guys. Pretty awesome to see, especially with the martial arts action. Simu Liu, a great introduction inside the MCU. I really did love his character. And his interactions with the Mandarin. The fact that the Mandarin thing is a disappointment in the MCU. I was never too bothered by it, but for a lot of people, it is a disappointment inside the MCU. For me, the fact that they were able to actually finally get the Mandarin, the actual Mandarin, something that's really cool. Combine that with martial arts, cool fight scenes, and a couple cool twists, I have a good enough time with this movie. It's never like a movie that I'd say top tier Marvel. It never does all that, but it's a good but martial arts Marvel movie. It doesn't, like, besides the stuff I just said, it doesn't really do anything that wows me. I was expecting, honestly, a little more from this movie. Like, every time I watch the movie, I feel like, yeah, it's good. I was kind of expecting it not to be as generic as it actually was. So every time I watch it, I feel like I should love it more than I actually do. Do I think it's a good movie? Yes. I think this is where we go from the pretty good category. This is a pretty good movie. But it's like, always felt like I should have liked it a little bit more. At number 6, we got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, this is, unlike the other movies I've talked about where, like, yeah, they were good, but a lot of people like them much more than me. I like this one much more than other people. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This movie gets way too much hate, in my opinion. I can't understand why people really hate this movie. I get it. Certain sequences feel like it's directed by committee. I do. I really understand that. But, for the most part, we get a Sam Raimi directed MCU movie. I don't see much to complain about that. Sam Raimi is an awesome director. I love him, and I love his style, and he brings quite a bit of that style into this movie. We get sequences where instead of blood, because it's PG-13, we have people covered in red oil. And so, it makes for some very good sequences like that. Wanda's character arc is a really good character arc. I think that she has one of the better character arcs inside the entire MCU. And watching her slowly become the villain, the very strong villain, becoming the Scarlet Witch that Doctor Strange has to fight, is really good. It's a really good plot for the movie. America Chavez, she's okay. She's nothing special, but she's fine in the movie. There are some horror elements, are some good action sequences, and we do get to see a couple multiverses. So we get to go throughout the multiverses. Yeah, the Illuminati stuff is a tad bit disappointing, but still, we get to see the Illuminati. We get to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. Like, that's something we get to see, and, like, it's something that too many people complain about. Like, I get not liking this movie, but, like, for the most part, for me, like, it's a movie that injects horror elements inside the MCU, has a pretty cool character arc with Wanda, and we get to explore a little bit of the multiverse stuff. So, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, for me, has been a pretty good MCU movie to come out of this Multiverse Saga. Number 5, The Eternals, and this is yet another one that people hate on that I actually think is a really good movie. Yeah, I get it that we're introducing all these characters, kind of forcing them into a 2.5-hour movie. I get it. The movie can feel a little bit jumbled. I get that the story's not all that entertaining. I get it. I get that the post-credit scenes aren't really going anywhere. I get everyone's complaints with this movie. But calling The Eternals one of the worst Marvel movies to me is insane. I think this movie does enough to justify its existence. I mean, a lot of the complaint people have with the MCU is that it is, and I've said this numerous times in this video, that it is movies directed by a committee. This movie, they let Chloe Zhao, fresh off an Oscar, come in and do her thing. And her thing for this particular movie is really good. I do like this movie. We get to see creatures that are really cool. The CGI on those creatures are really cool. We get a couple of good characters. Nothing too memorable. Like, I don't really remember the characters or the character arcs, but we do have this character. They have that family dynamic that they have. Icarus, as he turns into the villain in the later acts, pretty cool villain. We get some really cool fight scenes with our characters directed by a director who has sauce. So this is just overall a more unique MCU movie. We haven't seen movies like this before. And the fact that people complain that we got a really unique MCU movie, I get that it might not be for you, but to call this one of the worst MCU movies and then go back and complain that we don't get original or fresh MCU movies is insane to me. Because this one felt too original, and it's something that I just really do enjoy. And it's a big hot take, but I think Eternals was honestly a big win for Marvel, in my opinion. Number 4, Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this is a movie that I saw 3 times in a theater, I saw twice at home, and I've loved every single time. And all of a sudden, Twitter and the internet decided to do a huge switch up. Why is everybody hating on this movie all of a sudden? I don't know. I'm pretty sure when the movie first released that people actually really liked this movie. Me included, and I did not switch up on this movie. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is a blast. It has that Deadpool comedy, which is a comedy that I get a lot of people can be annoyed by. That person is not me. I do enjoy comedy movies like this. I do enjoy vulgar humor. I do enjoy all that. It's crazy, but I do. We get Hugh Jackman in the movie, who is just giving, for some weird reason, a really good performance. And his banter with Ryan Reynolds is perfect. We get cameos that serve more than just cameos. They serve for the story. It's not just the, ooh, look at that guy, even though there is plenty of, oh, he's in this movie. That's so cool. He's back here. We do get that. But these characters serve more of a purpose. They play more to tell the story. Now, is the story particularly any good? No, not particularly. I mean, it's got, like, obviously, oh, someone's got a machine. They're gonna destroy the multiverse. And then we got the Mr. Paradox, who just, I don't think is a good villain. And then whatever her name is, the bald chick, I can't remember her name, shows how memorable she is. I don't think she's particularly, like, has a great motive or anything. She's a fine villain, but she doesn't really have a good motive. So the story itself is pretty weak. But that's not really what you go to a Deadpool movie for. You go to the Deadpool movie for the comedy, the action, and particularly in this movie, going to the multiverse, the cameos that serve more to the plot, and a nice homage to the Fox Marvel universe. And that's what I think was so good about this movie, is that it does everything that Deadpool movies are supposed to do, but it also does a little more to homage the original Marvel universe. Number 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. This is a movie that, just like Deadpool and Wolverine, the overall story of it all doesn't really quite work. The beginning of the movie is kind of messy, like Spider-Man trying to convince Doctor Strange to erase the memory from everybody, but he doesn't think it out. Like, he doesn't think, oh, hey, I might want Ned, my girlfriend, and my Aunt May to remember. So, like, the whole way we get to the central conflict is a little bit messy, but when we get there, it is just purely awesome, man. I mean, not only do we get, just like Deadpool and Wolverine, the cameos that serve more to the plot, where we get the classic Spider-Man villains. We get to see Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn again. We get to see Dr. Octopus again. We get to see Jamie Foxx as Electro, the Lizard. We get to see all these cool villains, but as we go further into the movie and we enter that third act, we get to see the other Spider-Man too, which is really, really cool, where Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield come out of these portals, and it's really cool. So you get the fan service stuff. You get the interactions between Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, who just have great interactions, and I really hope they come back in Doomsday, because this was genuinely some fun stuff in there. But the movie's a little more than that. As soon as we get past the overall why it's happening or how it's happening, and the story in that third act is great. I mean, you get to see the story arc close out for Peter, or the MCU Peter, because not only did he watch his aunt die, we never got to see his Uncle Ben die, we saw his aunt die, but also he sacrifices everyone he's ever known to save the world. And that is a great plotline, that's a great character arc to go through, where in the beginning he was just kind of like a teen trying to do something good, and then in the end of his whole entire franchise arc, he's the superhero. He saved pretty much the world. And so, great character arc for Tom Holland's Peter Parker. And then we get the fan service stuff, which is just awesome in general. It's so nice to see these characters again. But the story, I think, is a little messy in the beginning, which is why it just can't be a little higher. But still, No Way Home is a movie I genuinely love, and I think it does amazing stuff to Tom Holland's Spider-Man's character arc. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Literally, I rewatched this for the first time a couple days ago. I saw it in the theater. I was tremendously disappointed. This, like, originally in this ranking, my original notes has this as, like, 8 or 7. And I actually got it on rewatch. My first watch, I didn't really like it because, like, it felt like we were leaning so hard on who's going to die, and then nobody died, and it just kind of felt like we were cheated. Rewatching the movie, I finally got it. The first act is a little bit different. It kind of has a different vibe from the MCU, and it was kind of hard to get into. Like, it was still entertaining, but, like, it felt like we were sacrificing, like, these grand emotions, and we didn't really get much of the core Guardians stuff in that first act. We don't really get much of the Guardians actually being the Guardians. And then, in that second act, and as soon as we headed in close to that third act, we get more of the Guardians having the interactions, the comedy, the humor, the emotions that we get with them. But we also get a great villain in the High Evolutionary, which is one of the best villains in the MCU and had me crying my eyes out several times. We get Rocket's past, which is so sad. And literally, when you see his friend get killed and young Rocket's just standing there sobbing his eyes out, and the High Evolutionary is mocking him, you just want to jump on that screen and beat the crap out of him. But then you get that third act itself, when we're in this planet, this Earth planet, and everything's exploding, and we get all these creatures and all these fights and the High Evolutionary, and we get the Guardians action, and we get plot lines closed out to Drax, to Gamora, to Peter, to Rocket, to everybody here, and we get those big scenes of emotion and victory and, you know, tremendous vibes to the movie, to where everything that this movie does in the third act is pretty perfect. And it was making me think, oh, this movie's so awesome. This movie's so awesome. Like, I only could give it a 4.5 star on Letterboxd, even though I wanted to go 5. But I only could go 4.5 because I found that first act to be a little bit wonky. But when we head to that third act, it does everything I want a Guardians movie to do. The ending of the movie where the Guardians split up, I didn't like the first time, but I did like it this time. It felt like we were closing out those plot lines in a really good way. And I cried like 5 or 6 times watching this movie. So, I mean, I'm glad I rewatched it. I'm glad that I went from giving it like a 3.5 star on my first watch to a 4.5 star, because this movie is genuinely great. I would genuinely watch it again right now if I could. I love this movie, and I'm so glad that I'm finally on the wavelength that you guys are when you guys saw the movie the first time and loved it, because I didn't love it the first time. I love it now. But my number 1 is our newcomer. The reason I'm doing this video, Thunderbolts. Put the little asterisk there. I'm not going to spoil it on this channel. It's not really a spoiler because Marvel put it out. This movie is great. It's amazing. It's got the vibes of the original MCU, where it feels like we're getting all these characters that was set up in other MCU movies, which we're not really getting that much, but we get all these characters that are set up in other MCU movies here for the team up. And it's awesome. Not only do you love these characters like Yelena, Red Guardian, Bucky, John Walker, Ghost, you love all of these characters, but the movie also has a strong theme about mental health, which, if you know me, I'm a huge sucker for movies that explore mental health, because it is genuinely emotional. I had a feeling that it would go a little bit too strong for this movie, but it doesn't. It goes absolutely perfect, where we see Bob, who is the Sentry character, the hero. He's going to be the hero. And everyone's saying, is he the right person to be the hero? He struggles with chronic depression. And you see him throughout that entire movie say numerous times, I don't know, would life be better without me? Would it all be better without me? And, like, you're watching Bob and, you know, struggle with chronic depression, which is something a lot of people struggle with, and it is a really good character arc for him. And then you get the Void stuff, and you literally dive into the character's past, where Yelena has depression. You see why. You see why Bob has depression, his childhood, his rough childhood, and it is just a genuinely great plot arc. And the Void does a perfect manifestation of depression, and I think it is great. I think it's fantastic character arcs for the characters. I think it's a fantastic story. And alongside that, you just have a lot of fun with these characters. There are genuine laugh-out-loud moments. There's awesome action here. But and it sets up for later MCU, which is something we don't get that often, that we get set up for other MCU projects. But for me, like, the fact that the story itself follows depression, and it's just a genuinely perfect story, that's enough to call this one a big winner for me. That's why I love Thunderbolts. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Stay tuned for so many more videos coming in the future. And with that said, subscribe.